How would you like to learn about a Southwest Portland neighborhood that truly has it all? In this video, we're going to talk about Hillsdale in Southwest Portland. You're not going to want to miss this one. Stay tuned to learn more. Hey, what's up everybody? This is Paul Clem with the Oregon Relocation Team coming to you from Hillsdale in Southwest Portland today. This is a neighborhood that we haven't talked a lot about on this channel, but not because it's not great. It's because Portland has over 90 neighborhoods and, you know, we're trying to cover them all, but we got to go one at a time here. But Hillsdale is as good a neighborhood as any. And in fact, Hillsdale, you know, really has it all because it has kind of a town center type area. It has a ton of great residential development. You've got neighborhoods that are a little more clear cut, kind of on a grid and flatter. And then you've got neighborhoods up in the West Hills, a ton of residential development, kind of building up this hillside where that's going to create a lot of the unique attributes that people really like of living in the West Hills. Now, hey, if this is your first time to the channel or you've been here and you haven't already and you want to get more videos like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the little bell to get notified every time we drop a new video. And we've helped so many people relocate to Portland and move to the Portland metro area. And as real estate professionals, we love to help with that process. So if that's you, give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, or click the link down below in the description of the video. Schedule a Zoom call with us and we can talk more about it. All right, so Hillsdale is a neighborhood that has a lot of different unique types of homes, styles, architecture, things like that, but the majority of Hillsdale was developed really from like 1940 to maybe the mid 60s. So this is very consistently throughout Hillsdale a mid-century development. Now, it's kind of funny we say mid-century because here we are in 2025 and we're referring to the mid-20th century. So, you know, we're nearing the mid-21st century. So we'll see how we refer to areas like this in the future. But yes, still an area like this we're going to refer to as a mid-century development. Now, Hillsdale itself, when you get into the residential areas, has really unique neighborhood layouts. You know, a lot of curving streets, and you're kind of built up into this hillside, so you get some of these elevation changes. That's going to make for some really nice views in a lot of different parts of the neighborhood. But it's mostly pretty walkable in that you can walk out your doorstep, you know, go for a walk throughout the neighborhood. Again, there's going to be some incline. You can probably hear me huffing and puffing a little bit, but basically, you know, at least compared to a lot of other quote-unquote West Hills neighborhoods, Hillsdale offers more walkability than a lot of different neighborhoods as you kind of get up into the hills. So that's a really nice thing that I think a lot of people enjoy about living in Hillsdale. So Hillsdale itself has about 10,000 people, 2 square miles in the whole neighborhood. So it is certainly not the smallest neighborhood in Portland. And there's really kind of 2 sections of the neighborhood. You know, there's a lot of consistency throughout, again, when you get into these residential areas, but you have Highway 10 or through kind of the town center or the heart of Hillsdale. This is going to be Capitol Highway. You have the north side. That's where I am right now, which is going to be a little more up the hill, a little more kind of a hilly terrain. And then on the south side of Capitol Highway or Highway 10, you get into another residential development that's still kind of built into a hillside, but you don't have quite the elevation you do on the north side. So I mentioned Hillsdale kind of having this town center kind of right in the heart of Hillsdale. There's also some really, really great neighborhoods on all sides of Hillsdale too, so we're going to talk more about that. If you like Hillsdale, there's a lot of surrounding neighborhoods that have very, very similar attributes. And if you live in one of those surrounding neighborhoods, you're going to be able to get into Hillsdale quite a bit too. In fact, you probably will, because there's a ton to offer right here in the neighborhood, including, but not limited to, there's a great public library in Hillsdale, Multnomah County Library. So it's kind of a newer facility. It was redone in the last probably 20 years, 25 years at this point, but it's a nice modern building. You know, obviously having a library nearby is great. If you're a bookworm or if you have kids, nice to have that in the neighborhood. And there are some really great parks in Hillsdale. So you have the George Himes Park, which is off Terwilliger, kind of on the east side of the neighborhood. So, you know, big forested, wooded area, hiking trails, things like that. You have a little park actually right by the library, which is nice. You have access to the Markham Trail on the north side. So the Markham Trail runs behind OHSU, you know, big wooded forested area, kind of in the West Hills, you know, like Washington Park and Forest Park. So you have that type of area where you can actually kind of get out into at least what feels like wilderness. And just north of here too, you have Council Crest Park, which is a really cool park at the top of the hill. It's just into like Council Crest, Portland Heights, Southwest Hills area, but that is adjacent to the north. And up at Council Crest, there's a big open field, and you have views looking in just about every direction, looking, you know, west to the valley, looking east into downtown Portland. And you also have access here to OHSU. So from Hillsdale, you just go right up to Terwilliger, and you can get to the hospital up there. So if you have any affiliation with OHSU, this would be a great neighborhood to be in terms of proximity. The Children's Hospital is there, so that's nice to have on your doorstep. Another thing about Hillsdale too that's pretty cool is Hillsdale is home to Oregon's first craft brew pub. So obviously craft brew industry is an enormous part of the culture here locally in Portland, in Oregon, and in the Pacific Northwest. And sometime late 70s, early 80s, it was really starting to take off, but there was some law on the books where a brewery couldn't serve beer on site. So the McMenamins, which is, you know, something I could talk on and on about. There's like 50 or 60 McMenamins locations throughout Oregon and Washington now. But the McMenamins brothers, along with like the Widmer brothers and some of the pioneers of the craft brew industry locally, basically lobbied to be able to brew on site and then serve it to the public. So the McMenamins Hillsdale Brew Pub, first craft brewery brew pub in the state of Oregon. And that's some really cool history. Still stands there today. The food's decent, the service is okay, but again, cool to be able to step into a little part of history there. Speaking of food and beverage and, you know, options you have in Hillsdale, for Southwest Portland, you know, Southwest Portland is pretty suburban, so it's far more residential and far less commercial development than you have in a lot of the neighborhoods on the east side of the river in Portland. And so if you're going to point to, you know, one of maybe really 2 or 3 different neighborhoods in Southwest Portland that have much to offer in the way of restaurants and entertainment and things like that, Hillsdale is going to be one of them. So mention the McMenamins Hillsdale Brew Pub. There's some other really, really great restaurants right in Hillsdale, coffee shops, ice cream. There's like a bakery, donut shop. There's a lot to do. A place called Salvador Molly's, really cool little underrated restaurant right in Hillsdale. And then you have the Hillsdale Food Cart Pod, which is a little bit of a newer development connected to Ida B. Wells High School. On the backside of the high school entrance, there's like maybe 5 or 6 little food carts and some picnic tables, and you know, there's like bark laid out, so it's a good spot to go out and hang out right in the neighborhood. You know, and again, where like on the east side of Portland in particular, you know, you got like one food cart pod every square mile or something like that. In Southwest Portland, not nearly as prevalent. Hillsdale and Multnomah Village are really going to be, you know, the ones worth noting. Now, speaking of Ida B. Wells, this is the high school. This is the high school that's right here in Hillsdale, formerly known as Wilson High School, and my alma mater. You also have Robert Gray Middle School that's in Hillsdale, and Mary Reiki Elementary School. So your schools are all very close by, living in Hillsdale. What this also creates too is you have a lot of these big open campuses, sports fields, playgrounds, things like that. So if you want to look at the walkability overall of Hillsdale and being able to kind of get outside, we talked about some of the great parks, but even these schools offer a lot of big open green spaces. Again, whether it's like if you want to take your dog out or if you're going for a run or something like that, it's nice to have all the schools so close by. Now you also have a phenomenal farmers market in Hillsdale. So this is in the parking lot that separates Ida B. Wells High School and Mary Reiki Elementary School. And it's not all just vegetables and produce and things like that. I mean, there's like local artists and all kinds of stuff you can go check out. And this is something that goes, basically, you know, early mid-spring through the fall. And it's a ton of fun. So, you know, there's a lot of farmers markets throughout Portland and the metro area. Portland State, the one on the Portland State campus, is probably the largest and most popular. If you're in this area, you could also go to the farmers market downtown Beaverton, which is going to be a little bit bigger and maybe a little more noteworthy, but the one here in Hillsdale is great. And again, to be able to basically walk to the farmers market if you live in Hillsdale is a really big plus. So Hillsdale is also the heart of Portland's Jewish community. That's one of the few things on Wikipedia it says about Hillsdale, and a big part of that, at least, is because the Jewish Community Center is in Hillsdale. So right on Vermont, kind of on the southwest side of the neighborhood, you have the Jewish Community Center, which obviously, you know, it's exactly that. It's a community center, but I think they have pre-K, they have like a preschool there, I believe, and I'm sure they have all kinds of, you know, classes and activities and events and things like that that go on. So that's a little fun fact, or, you know, something that maybe adds a little bit to the diversity of the neighborhood as well. So I talked a little bit about kind of the clear delineation of Capitol Highway, Highway 10, splitting Hillsdale into two sections, the north side and the south side. Again, not a huge difference, although on this north side you do feel like you're properly up into the West Hills, whereas on the south side it's a little flatter, a little more kind of rolling hills, although you're still kind of part of the, you know, the West Hills area of Portland. But I mean, ton of really cool pockets, you know, definitely some diversity from you know, development to development, but the consistency throughout is that this was all basically built around the same time, and you have a lot of really cool old architecture here, you know, specifically a lot of mid-century and some mid-century modern too, which I know a lot of people really like that architectural style. And I think because of that, I mean, it's a great neighborhood overall, all the amenities and things that I just mentioned, but because of the types and styles of homes that you can get, at least this year, as of right now, this area has been super competitive. So we're talking multiple offers, you know, tens of thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars over the list price in a lot of cases. So you can look at the timestamp from when this video was posted. You might be watching this a year later, 5 years later. So, you know, it's tough to say if those trends have continued, but I think a lot of the things that are creating that type of competition and real estate market today are going to be true in years to come. So that Highway 10 that starts in Hillsdale turns into Beaverton Hillsdale Highway, and that's going to run due west toward Beaverton, and you can actually take that all the way west out to Hillsborough. So if you wanted to live in Portland but you were working at like Nike or Intel or any of the number of businesses out in Beaverton, Hillsborough, out in Washington County, pretty simple, easy commute, just a straight shot west from this area. And again, the highway that gets you out there starts here in Hillsdale. All right, so we talked about some of the adjacent neighborhoods to Hillsdale, areas that offer a lot of similarity in terms of the era that they were developed. A little more of a mix, a little more diverse as far as the landscape and overall what you can get as far as the size of the homes, the style of the homes, prices to some degree, but most of Southwest Portland is going to be pretty consistent. An area like Hillsdale, in particular this north side of Hillsdale, where you have like a lot of contiguous residential development, typically you'll find that prices tend to be a tick higher because of kind of the relative privacy. It's a little more quiet through here. It lives more like a true kind of purely residential area. But again, a lot of the neighborhoods surrounding Hillsdale are going to be great too. So of course, Multnomah Village is going to be just west of here. Multnomah Village is the heart of Southwest Portland as a whole. If you live in Hillsdale, you're going to find yourself in Multnomah Village all the time, although there's a lot of great stuff here too as far as going out to eat and just getting out and walking around. But you also have Hayhurst and Bridal Mile to the west, more or less pretty similar feel to Hillsdale. You have South Burlingame south of here, which is a little bit older, I think, on average as far as the age of the homes. Really, really cool neighborhood. I've done a video on it. I'll link it here if you want to check that out. But that is a really cool neighborhood with kind of its own feel, where I don't know if there's another neighborhood in Portland that is quite like South Burlingame. So that's definitely one to check out. Just north of here, we talked about Council Crest, Portland Heights. When you get north of here, you're really getting into the West Hills. So, you know, you're going to find narrower streets, windier streets, bigger hills. It's going to be a little bit less walkable. A lot of those houses up there, like, maybe don't have garages, for example, or you don't have the opportunity or as much opportunity for like usable yards. Portland Heights, Southwest Hills, really great neighborhoods, and a lot to like. So just, you know, it's not like those couple of setbacks that I mentioned are a reason to stay away from them, but that just is a notable difference between when you get up into the hills, you know, and just a step down here in Hillsdale. And then just east of here, you have the South Waterfront. So this is like the newest part of the skyline in Portland. About 20-25 years ago, they started building, you know, big condo buildings, and then OHSU has part of their campus down there on the water. And the most recent development is down there at the foot of the not St. John's Bridge, Ross Island Bridge, on the west side, on this side of the river. That is the proposed site for an MLB stadium. So if you like baseball, you're moving to Portland, end up living in Hillsdale, you can shoot down to what could be the new stadium very quickly and very easily. So that area, you know, outside of like John's Landing, Lair Hill, more condos and things like that on the South Waterfront. But you know, you shoot down that direction and then go up right up Barber Boulevard. You don't even need to get on the freeway to get to downtown Portland, which is cool. So, you know, you're in this very kind of suburban, nice feeling environment. Don't feel like you're in the city or near the city, but it's just a quick shot up the street. So all in all, if Hillsdale is a neighborhood that looks interesting, sounds interesting, if you want to talk more about Hillsdale or neighborhoods like it, give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, or click the link down below in the description of the video. Schedule a Zoom call with us. We could talk about Portland neighborhoods. We can talk about your budget, your timeline, and what areas might suit you best. If this video is helpful, make sure to hit the like button. That helps us out a lot. And if you want to get more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, tap the little bell to get notified every time we drop a new video. As always, we really appreciate you watching, and until next time, we'll talk to you later.